Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Bhadram Karane Bhishnuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Istushtuvaagumsastanubihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indra Vruddhashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedhaha Swasti nastarksho arishtanemihi Swasti no Bruhaspatir dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vansharshibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. Sarvo Paplavarahitah Pragnanaganah Pratyagartho Brahmaivahamasmi Brahmaivahamasmi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Ajnanatimirandasya gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om. Mantra number 9. Vidyate hridaya grandhihi Vidyate hridaya grandhihi Chhidyante sarva samshayaha Chhidyante sarva samshayaha Kshiyante chasya karmani Kshiyante chasya karmani Tasmin drishte paravare Tasmin drishte paravare. Vidyate hridaya grandhihi Kshiyante chasya karmani Vidyate hridaya grandhihi Chhidyante sarva samshayaha Vidyate hridaya grandhihi Chhidyante sarva samshayaha Kshiyante chasya karmani Tasmin drishte paravare Kshiyante chasya karmani Tasmin drishte paravare. Last time we saw there are 3 types of karmas: Agami, Sanchita, Prarabdha and Agami. Sanchita means all those karma phalas that have been accumulated from the past actions. All those karmas, they are yet to fructify. And when those karmas fructify, the individual, the jiva, has to take various bodies, different upadhis. In a given body, again the sex, male or female. And again, because of those karmas, the jiva is born to a particular parentage, at a particular place and a particular time. The karma phalas being varied and infinite, there are 84 lakhs of bodies, because certain experiences can be gained only in a given body. Not all types of experiences are possible in a given body. So those karmas which are yet to fructify and for which Jiva has to take the new birth, and Jiva keeps on taking the birth, and those karmas, Jiva can exhaust only few karma phalas in a given body, but which are yet pending. Those karma phalas are called sanchitani. Samyak chitani uparjitani iti sanchitani. The one which is very well accumulated. Those sanchit karmas get destroyed. Shiyante chasya karmani. All karmas get resolved because those sanchitas are centered on or they belong to this jivatma, the individual. Having gained the knowledge, individual not being there, individual itself being destroyed, all these karmas don't have a loke to fructify, and therefore they are destroyed as though. Okay, now, second is prarabdha karma. The prarabdha karma is prakarshena arabdham phaladhanaya pravruddham. That which is well begun, that those karmas which have started fructifying, that is prarabdha. This prarabdha is is part of sanchita, a set of sanchit karma which is fructified, which gives this particular body and whole trajectory of the body lifestyle and till the death. Those prarabdhas don't come to an end in a sense. For 2-3 reasons. The prarabdha is Ishvara Srishti. The prarabdha caused this body is Ishvara Srishti. Knowledge is not opposed to Ishvara Srishti. Knowledge is opposed to Jiva Srishti. Knowledge destroys ignorance and effects of ignorance which are creation of Jiva, the individual. The sense of individuality causes all this. That stands destroyed in the wake of knowledge. Knowledge is not in opposition to Ishvara Srishti. Body is creation of Ishvara and it will run through its own course for which it is destined. Only ignorance that is created by Jiva, that will go away in the wake of knowledge. This prarabdha will continue till it gets exhausted. And Gnani, wise person, goes through the prarabdha. Okay? It is not possible also that immediately prarabdha comes to end. If that is the case, then the wise person or a person who gains wisdom should immediately die because you gained the knowledge and the prarabdha came to an end and the person should die away. If that happens, then we will not have any tradition of learning, teaching. Because the teacher got the knowledge and passed away. And whatever tradition we have, you cannot call it a Gnana Parampara because a Gnana Parampara. If there is a Guru available to teach, and if prarabdha comes to an end, no sooner the knowledge takes place, in that case, Guru is an ignorant person. Because had he been knowledgeable, you should have died. So this whole tradition cannot be called as a Gnana Parampara, but a Gnana Parampara. Ignorant teachers might have been teaching to another ignorant fellows. That's not possible. And there are so many examples given in a Shastra. Last time I gave a modern example. Suppose there is no gas in the fuel tank of a car, on a moving car, but if it is moving at a certain speed, it will continue moving for some time, though the acceleration will not take place. But till that momentum which was created while there was a gas, that momentum will keep the car going to some distance. So prarabdha is like that. It has come to an end, but the momentum generated by it will continue. There are two types of statements that you see in a Shastra. Let me complete this about prarabdha. That sometimes you find Shastra saying that wise person doesn't have prarabdha, and sometimes you see that wise person has a prarabdha. You know, how do you justify this? When it is said wise person doesn't have prarabdha, it is from his or her own standpoint of view. They know only from the standpoint of upadhi, I have a prarabdha. That means I have to go through prarabdha. That prarabdha may be there. Means some sukha dukkha may come to him. You know, in terms of situations and people and objects. It's okay, I have to have prarabdha because since I own this upadhi, I have to go through this prarabdha. You know. So, from the standpoint of upadhi, the wise person continues to have a prarabdha, continues to have a limited body. But from the standpoint of Brahman, he says, I have no prarabdha. So there are two standpoints which are talked about in Shastra. One should know when it is said there is a prarabdha and when others say there is no prarabdha. This person, just as having gained the knowledge, Aham Brahmasmi, and we say Brahmavit Brahmaiva Bhavati, knower of the Brahman becomes Brahman. He knows I am Brahman, and Brahman being neutral gender, he or she doesn't become neutral. It doesn't affect the body, it's an upadhi. So also the mind is upadhi. His prana is upadhi. His buddhi is upadhi. Upadhi is Ishvara Srishti. Upadhi will continue as it is, as it was. There will not be any change in upadhi. You know, the person's psychological background will remain as it is. His or her certain likes and dislikes or certain values will continue to be as it is. Knowledge will not impact that. Because as we said, this is Ishvara Srishti. It is an empirical reality. It will continue. The wise person's memories will continue as it is. Wise person's knowledge will continue as it is. Nothing will change except self-awareness, except the self-identity, except the way I looked at myself. That alone will change. So, wise person may have prarabdha. That is, as I said, from the standpoint of view of upadhi, and that being aupadikam, wise person knows it belongs to upadi, not to me. So he can take it as it is. So he is free enough to accept it, the prarabdha, as it is. To some extent, likes and dislikes remain same, and therefore they are called as anuvritti, background, unconscious, or those, whatever it is, that is also continued, is upadhi. Whatever change he brings out in his upadhi, that may continue, that may change. But whatever it is, it is. So, prarabdha kshaya doesn't take place from the wise person's upadhi point of view, and from the wisdom point of view, prarabdha comes to an end because he or she knows it is not my prarabdha, it is aupadikam prarabdha. I am devoid of any karma phalas and things like that because I am akarta, abhokta, and then he becomes free. Therefore, they say he was free, but the apparent limitations of body were there, and at the time of death, vimuktascha vimuchyate, the one who was already free became free. Apparently also became free. Apparent limitations do not hamper his wisdom. Like traditional example they give, like a potter. When he makes the pot, the wheel is set into motion. Even after taking out the pot, ready pot, the wheel continues to move. This is because of the past movement, past motion. That was there in the wheel, that will continue. Next is agami karma. These are the karmas that are gathered in this body, either before knowledge or after knowledge. It can be before and it can be after also. With reference to after knowledge, Gnani does not accrue any karma because the sense of doership is not there. Kartrutva, bhoktrutvam is not there. So, his karmas don't bind him. His karmas don't impact him because he is not a karta. The doership, sense of individuality is gone, and therefore those karmas after knowledge don't bind. What happens to karmas before knowledge? Any karma that is done before knowledge also doesn't bind to him. It may come to him as a prarabdha, so it may affect the upadhi, not me. As Sri Raman Maharshi used to say, he had a cancer at the last stage of his life. People were obviously sympathetic and used to say, Swamiji, you have cancer, I am pained to this, that. And he would say, who has a cancer? Body has a cancer. Let it have it. I don't have cancer. That kind of perception the wise person has. And that is why his prarabdha has come to an end from his own standpoint of view. From the Jagat standpoint of view, it is very much there. Onlooker's standpoint of view, it is very much there, prarabdha. Those agami karmas doesn't affect him. What about karmas done before knowledge? Yes. Even those karmas also don't come to him because that he, quote unquote, individual is not there. And therefore, it doesn't affect him. They say, Anyacha prarabdha, samashti prarabdha, etc. All that prarabdha the wise person has, it will fulfill itself by creating a desire in him or creating a situation in front of him where he has to respond, that wise person. Situation may be created by God or maybe by devotee or people around him. That is called Annecha Prarabdha. And if it is nobody's desire but still that is there, it is Ishwarecha Prarabdha. He responds to that Prarabdha, whatever fructifies to him, but then with awareness that I am not this physio-psycho complex and I have nothing to do with it. Whatever limitations I have is only and only aupadhikam. It doesn't belong to me, the consciousness. Kshiyante chasya karmani. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshayaha. All the doubts are eliminated or they get resolved. How does this happen? Understand from beginning. Fear and doubt are the two sides of the same coin. When there are doubts, there is the fear. And there is the fear, there are doubts. A baby, a child, is born helpless and remains helpless for a quite long time. The grace during that period is baby has a capacity to trust. In particular, it trusts its parents. It trusts its people who are near and dear one. Otherwise, helplessness is too much, unbearable in a way. Now, when there is a trust, this trust is so much, as Puja Swamiji used to say, it was a total trust. So there is a total surrender also. Because the world is too big for baby to handle. The baby's cognitive development, emotional development is practically not there. Doesn't know what the world is because of ignorance for 2-3 years and continues not to know certain emotions of the other person. And those helplessness born out of either ignorance, it is there, makes him feel so much helpless, and the baby sees the parents and the near dear one as the saviors. They are the saviors for me. In a baby's perception, parents are capable of doing anything and everything they want to. And they can. That's how baby thinks. They love me. As the baby grows up, again, because of its own perception, it feels they don't love me. Because the attention that I wanted, that was not given to me. The care that I wanted was not given to me. The attention that I wanted was not given to me. Because for a baby, the whole world is parents to begin with. As if I use Puja Swamiji's word, baby thinks parents are infallible all the time. As it grows, it discovers, or it sees rather, the moods of the parents. it sees the limitations of the parents. When it sees the moods and limitations, physical, psychological, emotional, etc., then the foundation of this feeling that parents are infallible falls apart. More it discovers the limitations or fallibility of the parents and the people near and dear one, more there is erosion of trust. There was a total trust. As often Puja Swamiji used to say, you might have heard this, that baby, when somebody is holding the baby and that person gives the baby to someone else, it totally surrenders. It totally delivers itself to others. The trust gets eroded. Sometimes, when the trust is eroded, there is fear also. Will it not happen again? So, bhayam is there. And that causes samshaya. As I said, they are the two sides of the coin. And when the parents are not that appreciative or some other reason, the child, because the world is the parents, wants to please the parents all the time. Wants to be in a good humor by appreciation from the parents. When they fail to give that necessary appreciations, as per baby's perception, they might be giving, but child sees it differently. So, as per baby's perception, that attention is not gained, unknowingly, unconsciously, baby tries to please the parents, to make them happy. It feels I am not acceptable by the parents. It works to become acceptable in the perception of the parents. That acceptability is what actually baby wants. There, because they are given to moods and they have their limitations and baby cannot understand them because of lack of cognitive development, the baby is always having apprehensions and bhayam and doubts. What will happen? Sometimes it becomes so much that that grown-up person has doubt for the entire world and ultimately doubting himself or herself. They say, I cannot trust anybody. You said, give it to the staff and they will manage. No, I can't trust. I have to do it myself. Because that person sees only bad things in life. Goodies they don't see. But that's how the life is. No. Goodness is not seen. Only ugly part is seen all the time. Because baby's childhood problem, it wanted parental attention and didn't get it. Work for it, develop fear and apprehension. And those apprehensions which are there, that fear which is there, gets into unconscious and it manifests when the fellow is young or middle-aged. This is samshaya. Apprehensions means samshaya. This person lives a life of samshaya only. All the time doubting. So much so that he or she doubts his or her own capacity and they suffer from self-low image, lack of self-confidence. Because of some childhood apprehensions that there is a samshaya all the time is natural. That's how upbringing is. You cannot do anything because it is a child's perception. And it's a factual reality because parents cannot attend the child all the time, in all the way. They too have their own limitations. But the baby cannot appreciate that. And that is why that becomes person with doubts, like a doubt, the doubting Thomas, And that person is called Samshayatma. In Gita, Samshaya becomes nature. He doubts the world, doubts the people, doubts everything, his career, his life. And that samshayas give rise to stress and fear, etc. Doubts are born out of fear, but they give rise to further fear. And this is a samsara. When this fellow grows up, some of them have doubt about the very existence of Ishvara as karma dhyaksha, karma fallata. Then they have doubt about the Shastra, whether it is there or true or not. Tatparya doubts, samshayas. And the first and the foremost samshaya, I would say, not samshaya, conclusion, which is erroneous conclusion. They don't see the problem properly. My fundamental problem is of self-ignorance. It has nothing to do with the external situation and possessions. I may change them, but that doesn't guarantee me the happiness. I am the problem. The problem is centered on I. That is not seen clearly. So, there is a conclusion that we have to go to some loka, Bhagwan ke dham mein jana hai, some dhama. Or conclusion that by meditation, I will realize the self. Keep meditating, you will see the self. This is all because they don't see that the problem is of self-ignorance, not of haves and have-nots. So one has to go to Pramana, Shastra Pramana, and study that. There again there is the doubt, samshaya. Will Shastra deliver this knowledge? I will gain knowledge by experience. There is experience theory going on. आत्मा का अनुभव करना है, आत्मा का साक्षात्कार करना है, ध्यान लगाओ. And people do meditation every day, 1 hour, 2 hour, abstract meditation, they call it. I don't know what it is. So, pramana, Shastra is a means of knowledge that becomes clear only when you see that the problem is of ignorance and I need knowledge to cure myself from this sense of individuality, sense of limitations. Then Pramana's question about the Pramanyam of Shastra is not there. People don't come to study because they think we have to realize by meditation and we can know the self. One, even while some of them are studying, there is still a doubt about pramana. In a sense, does pramana deliver the knowledge or not? And therefore, they say studying is only intellectual knowledge. and you have to realize after meditation. Study is necessary, but having studied, you have to meditate. Unless you meditate, the studied knowledge will not hold.